you see us on this one.
Oh, man.
Do amigos.
Not that last episode. That was fun.
And out of here. Boom. All right. Welcome to Real Amigos. It is Monday, not Tuesday. I apologize for the scheduling shift. My son's baseball team is doing like a midweek or a mid-season tournament. So that means like Tuesday, Wednesday, all week we have baseball games this week. So I appreciate you joining and helping us move one day, this one time. If you like this time and it works out in the future, we might switch it. But here we go. So the topic today, before we get into anything, the topic to the day is Texas the new California? You saw the thumbnail. I will ask that keep the comments polite to each other. I know anytime that we have, a California, Texas thing, the comments, especially on my channel, I've seen them get pretty heated. So just be respectful of each other is all I ask. But here we go. With us today, we have the benevolent beret, Ian of Austin. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Awesome. We got the magic mullet. He's back in town. Hello, sir.
Low and free.
Low and free. And then Rod Alawan from New Braunfels. He's on. He finally made it on after weeks of trying to encourage him to come on this show. He came out of hiding to make it happen. Rod, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Jim. We appreciate it, guys.
So before the show, you had texted me that you could not believe the New Braunfels market. I wish we could have had you on last week because I feel like you would have been a good addition just for the simple fact we talked about Elon, his tweets, and what it meant for Austin. But New Braunfels is starting to see the same exact issues that we're seeing in Austin. Just so before we get into this topic, I want to hear from you. What's happening in the New Braunfels market and what are you seeing some of the things happening?
Crazy. So I told you, I was joking with you last week. Remember, I said I was going to take the spray paint can and cross out New Braunfels and put South Austin. So our median sales price in New Braunfels right now is $288,000. And this, I'm telling you, it's 2019, 2 years ago, was $237,000. So like $50,000 in 2 years. And our listings are down 63%. And our closed sales are up. And our inventory 2 years ago was 4 months. Right now it's 3 weeks. So when I say we have no homes, it's not a stretch. Like, we have no homes. And if you're an investor, I was working with an investor at the beginning of January. They were trying to do all the spreadsheet and figuring out how much they were going to make. And I checked in and we were talking, and like mid-February, they had lost $26,000. I'm like, how are your margins now? You know? So what we're seeing is, like you guys are seeing, an influx of people from California, the Northwest, and these people have money. They have cash. They're coming in spending anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 over asking. They're waiving appraisals. They're paying for their old title policies. And so basically, they're shutting out the local market. Our local market is between $200,000 and $400,000. We're losing that demographic.
Yep. I mean, that's something we've talked about on the channel quite a bit, is just the fact that we're losing that affordability. And we'll talk about that as part of the, here we go. John's kicking in with the Don't California My Texas. Love it. Okay. So if you want to check out Rad's channel, here it is. Rod, sorry. This last video that you posted is quite a good one. I don't know if anybody's seen this one, but right about this mark, there's some really handsome faces that come on this video. So talking about masked, unmasked. Yeah. So there you go. Oh yeah, there we go. Boom. Took the mask off. All right. So gentlemen and gentlemen, let's get this out of here. Oh, this is a good start too. San Francisco residents are fleeing to Texas and Florida at record levels. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but here's the video that we're really going to talk about. And I want to get, so I sent this out to everybody. Come on, man. Yeah. So this video came out. It's by CNBC. It says, is Texas becoming the new California? And this is kind of what propelled my video. I wanted to actually do a standalone video talking about this, but this video had some really good points. It had some points I didn't agree with, but overall, I sent this video to y'all. What was your perspective on this video, and what do you think it hit? I'll start with Kevin because he hasn't been on in a long time. Hi, Kevin.
Yeah. Which video we're talking about? Oh, the one you sent earlier?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was good. Like anything, I don't watch much media anymore. I used to be really into it and watched all kinds of media. I don't really like that both side media outlet has some underlying, stance on the data or on whatever they're presenting. So I thought it was decently good for, the image of Texas, where it talks about people, wanting to have their businesses here, wanting to be here, and the reasons why it's amazing. They also made it sound like California was better in some ways as far as the way that their government handled some of the recent stuff that's gone on here, which I didn't think was great. But no, my first impression, of course, is that it's obvious people wanted the reasons people want to move from California to Texas, in my opinion, from what I hear, very consistently the same things: good business climate and no state income tax. I mean, outside of that, what else more do you want?
Yeah, one thing I really enjoyed was this gentleman said, we want people to come from Silicon Valley, but basically don't bring Silicon Valley here. I thought that was kind of interesting because he's in the tech world. I forgot what his name is. We passed by him. But Ian, what was your take on this video?
So I was surprised at the growth of the venture capitalism here. And I didn't understand how powerful it was. I mean, we knew that was a thing in Silicon Valley, but here we hear Austin has a huge startup culture, but you just don't realize, at least before I was really watching and getting into the data, how prevalent that is. And then, so that's one thing. So how much money is pouring into the area, but also the people that are coming here, how diverse it's making the area. Mm-hmm. That's a big factor right there. And, I'm like Kevin, I try to be careful what media I consume, but at the same time, I mean, there's so much information out there. It's exciting, but it's also scary. Like which one makes sense, which one doesn't. Anyway, I thought it was a fantastic. I thought it was a well-balanced video.
The part where he's talking about the diversity too, I thought was actually really amazing. And it actually goes back to what all of us have been talking about for weeks on this show, is I believe that Austin is not what it used to be, and it's not all Texas. I believe it's a new thing. Like it's a combination. It's like, people are like, oh, New York City is the melting pot. Well, because people were immigrating into New York City from overseas years ago. Well, maybe theoretically, Austin is the new melting pot, like the new melting pot of the millennium, where people both in this country and outside of this country are coming here to create something new together, like the best of all worlds in one place at one time. Maybe that's too utopian thinking, but I kind of see it, and I like where it's going.
I like it. It's fondue, man. It's fondue.
Rod, what's your take? I mean, I sent this to you. I don't know if you watched it, but as far as Texas becoming the next California, what's your thoughts? I mean, you're seeing a ton of investors, a ton of people moving from California to New Braunfels, which was a quiet little town right off the I-35. What's your take on something like this?
I actually thought I was in California a couple hours ago, coming back on 46 from Vintage Oaks area. There was like 20 minutes of backup. So my take is this, is that it was interesting. The guy or the narrator commented that Elon Musk was a transactional move. He kind of didn't try to solve a problem in California. He was like fed up. He's like, look, California's been winning way too long. I'm out. So it's kind of make you wonder that, okay, what if things go south here? Not that we think they will, but when they go south, will he move again? The other part is this. Whoever said that housing is still affordable did not look at any recent market report, or is not really tuned in, because that guy couldn't be so far off base. I mean, things are not affordable. I mean, as they were. I mean, we went up 50 grand in 2 years. What are you talking about? Austin's more than that. So things about individual freedom, very good point. So it's very consistent, Jeremy, with what you said. We're working with families from California. I ask them why they're moving. The first thing is, hey, why do you want to move to New Braunfels, right? You want to gauge their motivation. Our political climate has shifted. 99.9% of them say this, right? And we have conservative values. We want individual freedom. So that individual freedom part in the video was spot on. Okay, so people are moving. Yeah, the taxes are high, but they can't stand being in a freaking box. They want their individual freedoms, and they know that they can have that in Texas. So above all, it's how they feel as opposed to what they may be paying for this, that, and the other. I think that's what I'm hearing from our families.
Well, and there was this article about San Francisco, people leaving San Francisco, and they actually, I don't think the video referenced this, but it was saying that the most amount of people that were moving from California, the second place people were moving to was actually Texas. The first one was actually in other places in California. So a lot of people are moving the Bay Area and moving to like Sacramento and I know a lot of agents from Sacramento have told me the market's crazy there. And I'm from the Central Valley in California, which is not the greatest place to live, but a lot of people are moving there too. And here's a question that I want to ask all of you. So, a lot of people are moving to Austin. They're moving to Texas. They're moving all over, but in this video, it even talked about how, Austin is the Silicon Valley. They named all these people that moved to Texas, but all four of them moved to Austin. So it's kind of funny that they did that. But here's the underlying question. If more businesses are now allowing people to work from home, wherever that is, and so you have everybody moving to Austin right now because they don't have to live in the Bay Area or wherever, at what point do they start going, you know what? The prices are too high in Austin. I can still work from Dallas, Houston. I can go to Nashville, wherever. And maybe this Austin market and this New Braunfels, the I-35 corridor starts to slow down in prices.
I mean, that could happen, but I just think, we're kind of unique. We weren't really touched all that much by the 2008 crash like everybody else. Texas is unique in general, but New Braunfels is like everybody's playground. We've got two rivers, we got trails, we got a water park. So we're kind of insulated in that sense, all right? So it's a second home market to a lot of people. So will it be infected? I mean, last May, a few weeks after the height of the pandemic or the pandemic started, we have 4,000 people with wristbands in the Comal River tubing. So that's something that's never going to. It is interesting because you mentioned something, Jeremy, about people can move. Yeah, that's my feeling. Hey, look, people are no longer tethered to their states. One thing we learned from the pandemic is that, hey, we can work from anywhere. And if you don't like your state, you can just leave. And the states aren't really saying, hey, why are you leaving? It's like you're in a restaurant, you're a manager, and half the restaurant gets up and walks away, and you just watch them go out the door. What are you doing? What are you doing to help these people stay there? Apparently nothing right now. So people are no longer tethered to their states, and they're leaving because they can. God bless.
Dinosaur D always has the most rich comments. Kevin wearing a Lakers shirt to trigger all the. Okay, we're not going to say that.
I'm glad he picked. I was waiting to pick up on it. I got a Dodgers hat here, but my hair looks too good tonight. So.
So I mean, what's your take on that? As far as people, Ian and Kevin, what's your take? To what Rada just said.
There's a lot of information there. I would say that I don't really want to talk about the politics of it, but I would say the Comal. Let's talk about that, right? That is, I mean, it's a draw, but there are a lot of things that are here that people don't realize are here until they visit here. And so I feel like people that are from, let's say, California, let's use California as an example, they can come here and they can live a similar lifestyle in a lot of respects. Plus minus the ocean, a lot of other things as far as the nature hike and bike, cost of living, that balances out sometimes. So even you had said, Rad, that the affordability is no longer a thing. I would say the sales prices are increasing rapidly, but you still have no state income tax, and you still have a lower sales tax on a lot of products. And there are still things you don't have to drive as far to get places. So we still have a little bit of an advantage to affordability, but I'm not sure how long.
Let me revise myself. I think Ian said it right on the button. So let me correct myself. It's no longer affordable, or it's getting not affordable for locals. For regional people, for people out of state, it's still very affordable. They're selling their homes for 2 or 3 times what they're paying for one here. So you're right. It's not necessarily affordable for the local market, the local buyers, but it is still affordable to the regional buyers and to the out-of-state buyers.
Yeah. There are a lot of locals that I think have been feeling the pressure of being able to buy something, especially first-time buyers. Let's say they're just graduating from college or just didn't choose that path in life, and they're here and they're starting a family. They're 23, 24. Where do they go right now? Like I feel a lot of that pressure from clients.
I'm just absorbing a lot of this. My first thing is I think we should start a GoFundMe so Rod can upgrade from his Apple IIe.
Hey, I'm headed to Best Buy after this show, and if they're not open, I'm just going to break in. Don't tell anyone.
I got an extra one over here that at least does 360p, so I think we might be able to upgrade.
I'll just keep smiling. So
it's funny because Jeremy said working. He was talking about people being able to work untethered, and Rod, you too, were saying working untethered, but we're actually restricted by infrastructure in a lot of places. I think as soon as Starlink becomes a little more commonplace or something to that effect, something where you can really go anywhere and use the internet, that's going to completely shift all of these locations' demographics.
The big things that come to my mind, and we have plenty to talk about, trust me, and I actually do want to talk about politics at some point.
I do too. I think it's, let's talk politics on this channel. I mean,
not at the moment.
Yeah, I understand.
I think you should unblock David because freedom of speech, right? We should let him say whatever he wants.
Yeah, but I also ask people to be respectful of other people.
I know. No, I'm conflicted on that too, right?
If you start telling people to F off on this, I'm sorry, you're going to get blocked. I don't look. We're all going to be that's the one thing that I have to put my foot down to. As people in Texas, we're respectful of each other. So if you're going to come on here and start telling people to F off and F you and calling them names, you got to go. That's that's where I draw the line. So for me, he had to go. So
that's actually very Texan right there. There are a lot of very respectable people here.
Totally. And
despite all of the noise that you hear everywhere else, people are pretty respectful most cases.
And it's like Michael Scott told Toby, we're in a welcoming environment, and if you don't like it, you can get the heck out of here.
That's right. That's how it is. All right.
But what I was saying is, I think affordability is a relative thing. I think the value is what is the key thing. It's not affordability, it's value. So you might have to pay a little bit more. I get that, but what are you getting for the value of the purchase? Right. So we get to live in Austin. We get to live in New Braunfels. We get to live in Central Texas, which, that's God's country, in my opinion. So I think the value is still way, way below what a lot of people are willing to spend to be in this incredible environment.
Yeah. So I like this comment up here about Starlink. I just put up, what is Starlink? A Treviso floor plan. Rod, if you're not familiar with the channel, there's a neighborhood northwest of Austin called Treviso. And it's like a no word on here. You say that word and you get blocked. Bye, Mark. You're gone. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. So something else that they were talking about too in the video that I thought was funny, they really went into detail. I think this one lady had said, and I have all the clips right here. I was going to bring it up, but she talked about how, it's kind of talking about infrastructure. Oh, all these people can move here, but you got to keep the lights on, and they made a big deal about our, recent power outage. And that whole section of that video kind of made me laugh a little bit. Look, I get a lot of people don't like how we've deregulated things and we're not part of the national infrastructure. I understand the comment. I understand both sides of that argument, but to say we're not as good as California because of that made me laugh, because I've lived in California. You get brownouts every single year. You don't have power at night. A lot of it during 105. I don't know. Have you guys ever had where it's 110 in Austin or in New Braunfels and we didn't have power?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, that doesn't. Yeah, there are going to be days like that. I mean, I don't look when you're taxing the system. We got 30 million people here. California's got 40. Come on now. At some point in time, everybody's using it at the same time. It's going to go out. So I thought that part of it was just a kind of like, I thought that was the media's swipe at just maybe trying to balance the story out a little bit. Yeah. Coming from that background, you got to go one up, one down, one up, one down. And I just thought that was, but people are, like Elon Musk, are you familiar with his work? And he made the he made the transformation. Oracle, familiar with their work? They moved. So if they had any concerns, they would have balked. And I understand. Yeah. But 30 million people. What do you want? 40 million people. It's going to happen.
Elon has an ace up his sleeve. Yeah. He has a company that builds batteries.
Well, we talked about Elon in a lot of extent last week, because I don't want to dwell on Elon, but it did strike me the comment that was in there about he was transactional and that this was just another transaction. So it did make me have pause, like, okay, but that is probably also a just swipe at Elon, because again, we're in a time where everybody wants to take swipes of important people. So what did you think about that part of it, Kevin?
What's that? The part where people
the part where they were just making it saying that Elon is doing this is just another transaction for Elon coming to Texas.
Oh God, no. Do you really think that one of the world's richest men is going to haphazardly make decisions? He's a visionary, right? He's a visionary. He's obviously created some of the most well-known brands and businesses that the last 2 decades have
Texas,
seen.
in many respects, stands.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You want to play it? You can play it.
No, I was going to. Sorry, I was trying to. Sorry. Oh, there we go. I was trying to fast forward it to another part.
But there's never one reason anybody makes any decision, right? I'm sure he's making the financial reasons or just decisions for business was a factor, but there's a lot of stuff going on in a full decision-making process. I don't think it's just transactional.
So here's the one part that I loved about this video.
It's
there we go. Hold on. It was this part right here.
It's huge.
People brought to the area.
No, hold on. It was this guy. This part right here.
You think about California, it's the 49er, right? The 1849er. who came to California to strike it rich and the gold rush and the birth of Levi jeans and everything like that. So in the northern part of California, you've got tech companies, and so it's moved from gold to silicon. Whereas Texas is a different story. Texas is Tejas, right? It's the Caddo word, and it means traveler or friend. And in Texas, we celebrate the Six Flags of Texas. And so the idea of Texas, I think, is very different. It's about coming together. It's about bringing different things to the conversation, throwing your stuff into the mix and seeing what emerges from that.
So I love that he said this, because, I try to explain to people what the culture of what the culture of Texas is, right? And why we're not California. And I think he summed that up very well. I mean, what are your thoughts as far as Texas culturally versus California?
I think Texas, from a New Braunfels standpoint, people have been very embracing. I made the move here 3 years ago. I have been coming for 13 years, but people are so warm here. They invite your ideas. They invite you. They trust you right away. And this is the same thing that happens when we're kind of touring families around town. Like they would stop, and complete strangers would say hi to them, which is so. This is Texas, this is just who we are as a state, who we are as a people. So I agree, we welcome your ideas. Just, let's collaborate. But don't try to dominate, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Let's kind of mix all these ideas together.
Yeah, I see a lot of this. Like, listen, I grew up in the Midwest too, right? So, there's not a lot of diversity in the Midwest either. But the part that I have the biggest struggle with is that real Texans, whatever that means, because I wasn't born in Texas, but I call myself a Texan now because I've been here and I love it and I call it home. So whether I've been here for 5 minutes and I call it home, I don't think I should not be able to be called a Texan. But I think the attitude towards like literally everybody that lives in California wanting to be here, that being negative, like overwhelmingly negative, I don't know that that's the problem. I think the tension created between, it's almost like political parties now, Texas versus California. We should just run an election versus each other, right? They just hate each other for no reason, apparently.
Yeah, that's so keep going. I'm going to fast forward to a part that totally sums up what you're saying there, but go ahead. Keep going. So, here it is.
No. I just don't, and I'm not saying that's gospel truth. I have a hard time with this, like, we're right, you're wrong kind of attitude towards it, or this is our home and we want the door to close behind us kind of deal. I think it's ridiculous.
You know what? Seriously, here's the thing. All right. People say all the time, they'll comment on your channels and they'll say like, hey, just don't California or Texas. And they don't know these people until they know them. So they don't know, when they find out about these people and their ideals and their culture and their values, they're like, oh my God, you're the same as me. But the problem we have these days is because we're operating on like texts, right? And email and posts. But if we were to interface with somebody, those barriers just break down. But that's like the issue.
And I think, and from my experience being here, like nobody, like there's only a few people in I know in Austin that if somebody says they're from California, that they give them a hard time. And it's that person that comes over, is like, yeah, I'm from California. We're better than you. I think that is the attitude that is bad look for California, but that also gives, us in Texas as a second largest economy, who is built completely different, who has different, like he was saying earlier, different values or come from a different structure. When you come over here and say, oh, I'm better than you because I moved here from X, I think that's where people have a problem. And that's where the whole sentiment comes from. Don't California my Texas. Don't come with that attitude. I mean, do y'all think I'm right on that? Or, because I know a lot of people from California and they're doing fine here.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. Basically, look, everything that makes California suck right now, don't move here and make us suck. Basically, but again, it's consistent. Like, people are moving here for all the same reasons. I haven't had one person so far say that I am this or I'm that and I'm not going to fall in line. Everybody's moving here for the same reasons. Now, there is caution in this, because I'm telling you, what happens when people move from one area to the next, like from a metropolitan area to a smaller area, all of a sudden you see a Home Depot there. Well, what I'm saying is, we can't expect these people to like drop every value and every belief that they have. I mean, it's going to change somewhat, but as a whole, I'm saying it's going to stay the same, because from the conversations that I'm having.
What does that even mean? Like, what does it even mean to be that California bringing values and changing the climate? What does that mean to most people? I would genuinely like to know. Another thing I want to read is this: the true mark of intellectual maturity is how a person handles new viewpoints and arguments that may not directly correspond with others. Let's see. Once they can understand the viewpoints of others, their arguments and their concerns, it becomes much easier to work collaboratively towards shared goals and efficiently advocate your own position. So maybe it's not go F yourself, everybody that doesn't agree with me because you're wrong. Maybe it's like, I understand. Okay, so you feel a different way. I don't agree with you, but let's find something that actually does work for both of us. Mature strategy. Apparently us as adults in states with an overwhelming majority can't seem to understand that that's the most effective way to communicate and solve problems.
Well, I mean, look, in the age of social media, we've seen a drastic change. I mean, people have become keyboard warriors, especially in the last, election cycle, or last 2 election cycles. Everything has been hyper politicized. And I think that's why when you look at California and Texas, everything is red and blue. And I think some people don't like that have been here culturally and understand what Texas is. When somebody says, I'm going to come change your state, I'm going to change it blue, when everything's been like, you're moving here for a specific reason. Now, I'm not saying, now look, please don't take what I just said. I'm saying this is a general consensus is what I hear from people who make that statement. It's not what I'm specifically saying, but that's what I've gotten from the sense from people. But at the same time, that it goes back to my original thing. If you're going to move to another state, don't go to that state and be like, hey, I'm changing everything. You got to change everything to fit me. No, you need to come in and understand what the state is about before you make that change. And I've said that several times because, is Texas perfect? No. Is California perfect? Hell no. But you can't expect Texas to become perfect if you're coming to California and trying to change Texas into California. Being someone that's lived in California, it's lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and here, I would never try to change Arizona into Texas. I would never try to change any state into another state. They're all different for different reasons, and you're moving there for different reasons. So that's my take. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I'm leaving the floor open to everybody else because I've got too many opinions on this right now.
I think I like that we as realtors have kind of a unique position. We get to see it in so many varieties, right? So we get to see, I guess, some of the truer motives of people relocating, because a lot of it is I can't afford, or I just want to do this. And sometimes there's a little political color thrown in there, but for the most part, it's I just want to raise my family, have this quality, and this quality of life. That's mostly what it is. And some people, when they say they want to do something for their family, a lot of it ends up being the prices, the equity, the growth here allows them to build that wealth for their family. And, whether investor or first-time home buyer or whatever, everyone does have the same goal, and it's to capitalize on the opportunity right now.
Well, do you think that that's changing though? I mean, think about it. If you think about the amount of people that are moving here, that are moving and selling multi-million-dollar homes and coming to Texas and purchasing properties, obviously in the last real 5 months, we've seen a drastic, I don't want to say it's 5 months. It was busy last year for sure. But as soon as really end of November hit and we hit really January, those 3 months started getting busy, but January hit, it has changed. So affordability wise, Austin's never been the more affordable city. But do you think that that's going to change what your statement you just said? Do you think the affordability part of this changing is going to change people's mind on what you just said?
So I'm going to give a throwback to what Kevin said last week. And he said, where else do you want to move? Like if you had a choice, let's say money was not a factor, right? You can live anywhere in the United States. Where else would that be? Mm-hmm. And I actually made that decision because I'd been, all these different countries, all these different states. And I thought, where would I want to go? I like the thought of Austin over many other places. And for a variety of reasons. Part of it's the culture. Part of it's the variety in topography. There's so many different things. The access to other places. It's only, it's in the center of the U.S. There's so many things. It's close to the ocean, industry, opportunity, jobs, everything.
Can we just take a minute to appreciate how drippy Ian is tonight? By the way,
I am
drippy. You look good, brother.
Drippy.
Yeah, you know what drippy is? Drip.
No, I have no idea.
Your style.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I didn't even. I was asking Jeremy. I was like, "Should I shave?
No, man.
No, you can't even tell.
Just to clean it all up,
I haven't either. I got this neck beard thing going on, simp style.
Nice.
Incel style. Yeah, I'm with Ian, man. There's no better place, and we all live here because we think that. Otherwise, we'd live somewhere else, right? And it hasn't chased us off yet. I don't know. I still don't think. I mean, is it more expensive? Yeah, but if you can afford nice things, you'll buy them.
Is it more expensive than somewhere else that you want to be?
Not that much more.
Right.
No, worth the difference.
Like if you look at Cincinnati and you look at Austin, yes, it's more expensive. But how many people from Austin want to move to Cincinnati?
There's a general baseline of
because it's a close comparison.
What it takes to live, right? You have a general. This is how much it generally costs you to live, right? No matter where that was. So then it's kind of an incremental. How much more does it cost me here? Listen, energy drink is $3 here. It's $3 in Richmond, Virginia, right? Waffle House is $5 here. It's $5 in Richmond, Virginia. Everything's generally the same. You're paying, yes, a little bit more for your living expenses, but you're not paying more for the same goods and services that you'd be getting everywhere else. So, if you can incrementally afford it, and it's not even that actually, because I think what people are so accustomed to is how much that they can get for their dollar. So, yes. Can everybody afford a 3,000 square foot house on a standard salary in 78704? Hell no. But you have to set your expectations differently. Like if I want to be in Austin, maybe I have to go with a smaller place. Maybe I can put my family in a smaller home or be a little bit further out of town in order to experience all the city has to offer. I just think it's setting the expectations different.
Austin is a Louis Vuitton of Texas. Houston is a capital.
Oh, that's so funny, man.
That's really good.
So if Austin is Louis Vuitton, then what is New Braunfels becoming, Rad?
Target. Say Target.
Maybe Guess jeans.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Polo.
Rad, would you not say that I was? Would you not say that I was ahead of the curve when I put a contract on a property 2 months ago in New Braunfels?
Jeremy, he's taking all of us watching, all of us on right now at the lunch tomorrow. He's banking as he's talking. He made a deal 2 months, February, I think, right? February?
Yeah, February, yeah.
So, I don't know. But look, right now, he probably has 38 on the low side of equity, 38K
in 2 months. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you look at all these other areas outside of Austin, they're seeing the overflow from this Californication of Central Austin. I mean, I'm only throwing that word out loosely just because on the subject. But let me ask you. So we're seeing a ton of California investors, buyers. I mean, I can't tell you how many calls I get from Bay Area people saying, "Oh, I'm an investor, yada yada yada." That I want to buy something under 350, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's so hard to find now. But are you still seeing that same level of investor trying to get New Braunfels coming from California?
I will say this. That's a very good question. So if you want to do under 300, You got to go with what's available right now. So most builders have nothing, right? There's nothing except for maybe 1 or 2 homes, and those homes are going to be smaller, 3-2, 1,500 square feet, or maybe a 4th bedroom. So look, the best time to purchase that under 300 this year would be right now, because the builders, these spec builders, are going to have 1 or 2, right? Or maybe something that came back on the market. But if you start to get picky, you're just going to be out of the game. I mean, you're losing money. So it's right now it's still there, but God, guys, I'm telling you, we're talking maybe 1 or 2 per community amongst the builders. That's it. That's like all the inventory. And that's inventory that's coming up in June or July or August, but everything else is scratch. Everything else is like from dirt to build, but there's like nothing out there. So if somebody wants something for under 300, I'm going to tell you it's not going to happen next year. I'm just going to go on that limb and say, get it.
What are the school ratings for New Braunfels? If you had to pull up like niche.com or something like that.
I would say, okay, 2 strong districts. They are, because look, people love living in New Braunfels. It's in between that wacky city you guys are from, Austin, and it's in between San Antonio.
You mean that Gucci city?
So they like to be in between. New Braunfels ISD serves about 12,000 students. Is smaller, okay, not as many resources. The big district, the one that as far as amongst the best schools in the state of Texas, is going to be Comel ISD. And specifically when you get into Smithson Valley High School, Bill Brown Elementary, Hoffman Elementary, but there's also Klein Elementary, there's also Carl Schurz of NDISD. You're going to have, look, the most important thing is this: you have 2 solid school districts, all right? Because if you didn't, guys, and you know this as well as I do, people would not be paying what they are in this particular city. You take away those schools, and I would say these schools are B+, A-. If you're looking for a grade, nobody's perfect, but I would say B+, A-.
So, all right, Master Jedi, I got to admit, is a very smart person, because he's getting out of Vizcaya right now and jumping into New Braunfels right at the right time. So congratulations to you. Not New Braunfels, he's going to Bastrop, sorry. And if you saw my last video, which was Lago Vista versus Bastrop, Bastrop won that battle, but that's a hard decision because they're 2 different like areas, 2 different things. So I really shouldn't have picked a winner on that. I think they're different for their reasons, and I think they're both good for that. But Kevin, I feel like you have a lot to say. Let's jump on what's in Kevin's world. What are you feeling on this topic?
No, I do have a lot to say on it, because I feel, I don't want to be painted the wrong way, that I'm just like, oh, I want everybody to do whatever they want to do. I don't feel like that. I actually have politically pretty neutral, but probably leaning a bit more conservative values, because I did grow up in the Midwest and I naturally inherently feel that way. I don't like all of the general political type values that are coming from not just California, from some of that mindset. I do think that is not the best thing for Texas long term. But my California clients, a lot of them are coming here, and even if they weren't, it doesn't effing matter. A lot of them are coming here because they like that. They feel like Texans. They like the Texas environment, both for their families and politically. However, I'll tell you this: day to day, outside of directed conversations around the negative things with these topics, day to day, it's actually not really affecting a lot of people's lives in the way that they think that it is. Are there some things that are not good? Yeah, sure. There's some things that aren't good. Are there some decisions that our government in Texas is making that is not good for Texas? Absolutely. I 100% believe that. But from day to day, interacting with people.
No state's perfect either.
Yeah.
Especially after 2020 going into 2021, like nobody's perfect.
Bro, I lived in Illinois. I don't know who is deciding that they still want to live in Chicago. If you live in Chicago and have lived in Chicago, please give me great reasons why you really love that. That state has got one of the worst political environments for anything, and it's corrupt. How many of their mayors or governors have been in jail?
That's where I left. You know that, right?
Everyone.
I
That's
hope
where I
Jeremy
left.
sees this. You have a punchable face and a voice to match. I appreciate you, David. But,
Let him
you know what?
stay,
Threaten
please.
me.
I
That's
love freedom
fine.
of speech.
Oh man, I love that. Good for you for using this platform to say something really stupid. Come find me, bro. All right, go ahead.
Come catch me outside. How about that?
Catch me outside. How about that?
We
Come
can't
find
even
me.
talk about her right now.
Yeah. Ian, what's your take on that?
I was saying that I'm with Kevin. I was in Chicago or Chicago area, Chicago land, and
Oh, you live there?
people, yeah.
Oopsie.
People were general statement. This is not my viewpoint on every, you got to disclose that kind of stuff, right? This is my personal experience. Take it with a grain of salt in your own world. And anyway, there were a lot of people that were miserable and treated others accordingly. And I think a lot of it had to do with the weather. And then, when you're dealing with people, birds of a feather, right? And so in May and June, everybody was happy. It was great. It was a beautiful city, came alive. But and that's if you could afford it, of course. But then other than that, man, people just were not happy to be there a lot of the time. Again,
6-month winter.
My experience. And I come to Austin and I'm like, why are people? I love that people are so nice. I've actually had clients call me from like New York and I'm trying to think Florida, a couple other places where they said, you're so nice. People are so nice in Texas. It's such a different cultural reception.
Man, at the beginning of what you were talking about, you said something that I thought was really right, and I can't even remember what it was now, but I wanted to comment on it. I'm sure it'll come to me later.
So Kevin was right.
No. That was something that you said that. Anyways, I'll think about it at some point.
Yeah.
Does this guy know he doesn't have to watch?
No, it's okay. Don't worry. I don't mind actually.
Master Jedi, I don't think David M read your thing here. Most people are nice in Texas.
I know what it was.
This is important. He said most people in Austin are genuinely nice. I'm going to add a caveat to that. Most people from Texas or in Austin that were born here or are from here are genuinely nice. There are people that have relocated here that are not as nice.
For sure.
A lot of people that come here have been great and incredible people. But there are a handful where I'm like, you must not be from around here.
I've only met 4 people that were born in Austin. So like 7 years.
Really?
Yeah. But everybody else has been from somewhere else. And people are like, are there Texas accents down there? I was like, yeah, they sound a lot like 9, which is kind of Midwest mixed with California or Canada, I've been told. So, but you said something, and this would be a great topic otherwise, and it would be completely off topic. But I believe what you said is like that miserable people try to make other people's lives miserable anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're unhappy with yourself for any reason, you're going to make sure that the people that you're around are unhappy. And that's why I'm just a kind of a firm believer. And again, y'all can argue with me if you want to on this. I don't think the things that a lot of people argue about are really as big of a deal as you're making them out to be. I really don't. And I think you're just miserable about things and looking for an argument because you feel bad and you want everybody else to feel bad about it. I just don't think that's the right attitude. And a lot of people in Austin don't have that attitude. They're healthy. They have a good outlook. They're most of the time they're just kind of open to new ideas. It's not that they are like staunchly one side or staunchly the other. A lot of people here are just open to new ideas and open to conversations. Are there others that aren't? Yes. On both sides? Absolutely. And they're both as toxic as hell.
And you have the right to avoid those people, right? I mean, that's the great thing about freedom of speech. You're allowed to say whatever the heck you want, but people are allowed to think that you're an asshole. So, I mean, that's the greatest part about freedom of speech.
Yeah. And guess what? Sometimes I'm an asshole. And if that's not wrong. I mean, I can be toxic to those people too, because I'm acting out of something inside of me that's triggered a hurt in my life, right? So if I'm negative towards you, you've triggered something that's on me, not on you. So we're apparently doing that to a lot of people, is triggering something that they're hurt about. And so they just can't help but tell everybody else how terrible they are as people. Everybody from California, you're welcome to come here. You can call me. I'm wearing my Lakers shirt. Trust me, I'm ready for you.
They could call you too, Rod. Move south of weird, right?
Absolutely. It is interesting because I don't think this is unique to Texas. I mean, you guys are talking about birds of a feather. I think it's environment. Environment is so important, and if you want to be around people like that, feel free. If you don't, just move on. Look, I moved here from Michigan, also from the Midwest, and I can tell you one thing right now, that it was weird. It was like, what do these people want from me? They're being so nice, so it took me a little bit, took me a minute to adjust to that, but that's just become part of me right now. And people, you could just be you. Don't blend, accept you for who you are, as long as you're not just being arrogant or abrasive or dominating. But I think that's like anywhere, right? I mean, there's got to be some common ground between people, and you have to, instead of always looking for the differences, if you can like have a conversation with someone and just ask questions and then listen like 80% of the time instead of talking 80% of the time, you're going to do fine.
I love this question from John. And my follow-up would be, in Seattle, 240 days of rain, are people genuinely nicer there than they are here in Austin? 240 days of rain versus 240 days of
maybe they're nice people. They're just not happy at the moment.
Sorry,
right?
outwardly exuberant.
Right.
People that are happy, showcasing their happiness.
Right. Because it's an attitude, not a characteristic of them, right? I think a lot of character. I actually believe character is kind of a weird thing too, because I don't really believe much in character. I believe that you can change your perception on things and change who you are as a person. I think that's shiftable no matter who you are. So, but I mean, the thing I was thinking, if you want to sum it up, don't California my Texas basically means don't bring a liberal government here. Am I right or am I right? That's all. That's what that means.
That's the underlying message. For sure. Yeah, that's the elephant in the room. Yep.
And how many people, if we only have two political parties, you can literally latch on to, what's the list of all the stances that you can take on issues, on all the issues?
But I think that's part of the problem too. If you look at our politics in general, everything is either one side or the other side. And I think that's why there's such a division between Texas and California as well. You have the number one versus number two, right? One's red, one's blue. So there's this big, massive animosity. And I don't think really, I think it's overhyped. People are saying, like this comment about locals not liking the people moving here. I don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, I know I've worked with a lot of people that have moved here from California, Seattle, all over the places in the last 5 or 6 months. And all those people are super happy and have been super great to work with. So I feel like there's a lot of judgment against the people that are moving here for the fear of the unknown. And here's the craziest thing. If you go back to, everybody's talking about Texas turning blue and all this stuff. If you go back and look at the, I think it was 2018 election when you had Ted Cruz and Beto O'Rourke, there was a statistic that came out. I don't know the exact numbers, but more non-native people voted for Ted Cruz than native people voted. They voted more. So more locals, like native Texans, voted for Beto. So if you're looking at just that statistic alone, it's not that all these people are moving and it's one mindset moving here. So, I don't have a questionnaire when people move here, like what political party are you affiliated with? Because I won't work with you. That's stupid. But I could say for me, the people who move here, I'd say it's pretty mixed. And everybody that I've worked with has been really nice. So all this animosity that's built up, I don't think it's a true thing. I don't think it's a real thing, other than one person being upset and wanting to punch me in the face because he thinks that we're taking away private land or public land, whatever he was saying. I mean, that's just stupidity in itself. So there you go.
So what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do if I'm politically okay? What if I'm supposed to do if I'm fiscally conservative and then socially liberal? What do you do in that case?
Isn't that libertarian, right?
Yeah. But is that really a legitimate choice?
Yeah, it's not.
Because everybody come and said, "Don't make my Texas libertarian."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad that it's not more prevalent, right? Because a lot of people, when you really get down to the crux of the values and what they believe in, is something similar to that. Fiscally conservative. I don't want my money taken from me, but I also care about people. That is a lot of people.
Rod was trying to speak.
I mean, religion and politics are two very polarizing topics. I mean, no one's going to come out and say anything. And if somebody throws that little piece of, tinder in the fire, then things explode. But people aren't going to say, don't blue my red. That's a little too obvious for them. They're going to say, we know what people are talking about. But Jeremy made a very good point. It's like, people are worried about the unknown. They are. So like locals are worried, locals. It's funny how people say, well, we're getting too big, don't move here. Well, I mean, that's the same guy or girl who moved here like 30 years ago, but they still moved here, right?
Yes.
Everybody's entitled until somebody else moves here, and then they get on them, and then them, and so forth and so on. But it's like Jeremy says, it's like, look, people are happy. You know why they're happy? Because they're moving to a state that is going to allow them to exercise their individual freedoms to the fullest. Okay? Say whatever it is you want about that, but that's why they're happy. They're going to be allowed to do X, Y, and Z, A, B, C, and they're going to be happy around like-minded people. Jeremy, how many times have you heard that from your families and your clients? Hey, we just want to be around like-minded people.
Yeah. I mean, most people are, they want, like what you said earlier, they want to be left alone. Right. I think that's the biggest part of this is that people are moving here. They want to be left alone. They want to do their own thing. They want to be, and that, I think we should move on from the politics of this, but
no. I don't think so. I don't think we should. I think we should keep talking about it.
All right. But I mean, like Viviana just made a great point. Being a local, my issue is just losing the Austin culture that makes Austin. Growth is going to happen. Can't change that. So let me ask you, Viviana, what is it about the culture that will be lost? Right. What is the culture that's being lost? Let me ask that question. Other than people are hell of a lot meaner driving on the freeway now. They used to be really nice, like wave you in. Like when I first moved here 9 years ago, people are so friendly. Everybody lets you in. Now it's like, instead of that little finger wave, it's the one finger wave. Like, whoa, what did I do to you? Right. I think that's the only thing I've seen. But hey, look, traffic is traffic, right? It sucks. People get really angry. And Don, appreciate that. Jimmy's face is more like when I'd want to pinch, not punch. There you go. Damn cheeks.
Oh, wow.
let me tell you a stat, if you can remember this for the going to the future, okay? Just so we're aware of how many people that this actually is. Rice University, that's something good that's come out of Houston, right? Rice?
Yeah, that's where the bats fly every night.
Some good stuff. Okay, anyways.
The bats that leave the Congress Bridge go down to the rice fields down there.
They did a great study that said they were checking the California to Texas migration or whatever annually, and this has fluctuated. There's no clear trend, and annually this has changed. There literally is only a net of like 40 or 50,000 Californians moving to Texas. So the number of Californians moving to Texas has increased, but the number of Texans moving to California has stayed pretty steady, and that net is literally only like 40 to 50,000 people a year. You're talking 0.17% of the population of Texas is net coming from California each year. Do you legitimately think that that's enough people to sway an entire political climate of 30 million people? No, because you assume that every single one of these people shares a negative liberal mindset, California mindset. And that's even ridiculous to think.
Well, I mean, it's not only that, right? Go ahead.
I just think that the whole conversation is so blown out of proportion because it's such a small amount of people relative to the total population.
Well, I mean, it's a numbers game. It's like you said. I mean, sure, you have Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. What else am I missing? So you have those four large cities that are voting mostly one way, but then the rest of Texas is rural. It's country.
Yeah.
For the most part, who do you think those people are voting for? So Texas is so enormous. I mean, it's larger geographically than California, so you're more spread out, and you can have your 4 or 5 large cities voting one way, but then you've got the rest of the state and the balance of the state, which is more than those four. So, and I don't see that changing.
Maybe, just maybe, I don't know, maybe the Texans that have been living here for years are also shifting their political views. Did you ever think about that? Like that not every Texan that's native Texan actually believes the same exact thing?
I'll have to look up the stat, but I believe up until 2000, Texas had voted blue to begin with. So I think it was 2000 that they finally voted red. So I'll have to pull up that stat. I'll have to find that. But that's something I've heard in the past. So
here's what we need. We need a statistician to step up to the plate, and I need you to put a database together that says, I want you to compare every county in Texas from the 2016 election to the 2020 election. I want you to look at the number of net people that came from another state into the county and see if how the vote changed. Did it flip from a conservative vote for the county to a liberal vote from the county? I would love for somebody to put that together in their spare time for free. I won't pay you anything, but if you feel like adding that value, go for it. And that will settle this.
Ian, can you put together a spreadsheet, please?
Oh my gosh,
that's funny. That's funny. Well, let's shift gears slightly. We can come back to this topic. Look, Viviana. The example of Chicano Park, that's the East Austin trend, has been going on since my dad. So she made a comment earlier about that some of the new locals on the east side were complaining about, and I read this article, and I believe about 50% of what I read in most articles or what people write. But yeah, I did think it was kind of funny that the locals were getting upset with this car show or car show, whatever, that was in Chicano Park on the east side. And now they're getting upset with it when it's been a tradition for a long time. I thought that's, so I think this is what she might be talking about when it comes to that. But yeah, I mean, things are going to change, but getting upset about a tradition that's been there for a long time, I find silly. So
this has been my favorite talk, Jeremy. I'm going to have to take off though. I got to go meet a client at the moment.
Where's that client from?
Here in town.
Oh, okay.
But it's downtown. But I think this is one of the best topics we've covered in quite some time, and it doesn't have to do with new builders.
Yeah, I know, because all we talked about was this a good purchase? I get these emails too. I wrote $230,000 over on a lot. Is that a good purchase?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's a good topic. I'm glad we are shifting gears.
Right topics for the right days. Like maybe you guys can give Jeremy the feedback on if you like these type of topics or not.
And how punchable my face is. That was another.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how punchable is Jeremy's face? on a scale of Giselle to Jar Jar Binks. How punchable is Jeremy's face?
More Giselle, please.
More Giselle.
All right, Kevin, we'll let you bounce out, man.
All right, see you guys. Thanks a lot. Talk to you.
Cool. All right, so let's do shift gears. Go ahead.
Yeah. Kevin had mentioned something. 16. Texas voted 52% Republican, 43% Democrat. 2020, same number, 52% Republican, 46% Democrat. So the Democrats increased 3% over the 4 years.
So, I mean, that is an increase, but if you also look at that same numbers, no seats were changed in the last election. Not one seat. No. So, there we go. And Tone's back. Welcome back, buddy. All right. So, all right. Where were we at? There was a question on here. What was the market like this week? I would imagine Master Jedi is asking this question because he wants to know his house is going on the market in Vizcaya. If you're looking for a house in Vizcaya, 2,400 square feet, 4-bedroom, I imagine that's what it is. I don't know. I would say for this week, we had a ton of listings hit, but even on my listing that I didn't think would have multiple offers, we had 25, what I thought was overpriced. I had 25,000 over list price. So I still saw that. Ian, what was your week like? And then, Rod, of course.
Well, Rod actually helped me with a new build purchase, and then a couple others. I actually have multiple new builds, which is kind of surprising, right? Because it's just been tough to get those in the last few months, which is it's really exciting to be able to go in there and say, hey, I need a new build, and they might have one or two left. They might, but you can get it. A few other places, they're still doing the the bid system. That's frustrating. And then resales have been. I just got one, another 100,000 over.
100,000.
Yeah.
So here's something crazy.
Relative number.
In my neighborhood in 2018. Go ahead.
Sorry, Monica asked about average days on market. I'm still seeing 3 to 4 in most cases.
Yeah, and the only reason why it's 4 is you're taking time to go through all the offers.
It's a strategic 4, right? So you market it, and then on Wednesday you're like, might I put it? Thursday I'll put it, and then I'll say we're all going out of town until Monday. You know, you'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, well, that's my sellers. I tell them don't leave Thursday and come back Sunday evening. Because then we'll pick an offer on Monday. But here's something crazy. So in my neighborhood, you could have purchased a home in 2018 in the low 5s on a green belt. A home that just listed in my neighborhood, I had a client write an offer for almost exact same size as mine. But that green belt faces the new freeway that went in. That house listed at $825. We wrote a very competitive offer over list price. That house almost at $1 million.
Yeah. Almost
100. I don't want to give away the exact price, but almost 180, because obviously I'm not allowed to say, but almost $180,000 over list price that house got. And we wrote a very competitive cash offer. So in a neighborhood, so if we're talking about how this market's changing, and this is why I've been harping on affordability, is that when you could have bought a house 3 years ago for $500 is now $1 million. If anybody wants a nice 2,900 square foot house with a pool on a green belt, mine's listed for 1.5 million. So there you go. But that's the craziest part. I mean, Rada talked about how in just 2 months, one neighborhood saw a $30,000 price increase. So, I mean, as far as affordability goes, this is my biggest issue with the amount of people moving here right now. Now, I don't care that people are moving here. I think there's a lot of issues that are keeping prices continually high, and a lot of people are scared, and homes aren't listing. So that's partly why. I mean, I think there's 4 issues that are at play, and we've talked about this a lot, but none of those 4 issues have changed. We saw a little more inventory this week, but all that meant was more offers, right? And interest rates really didn't skyrocket. So
the thing is, those more inventory, that's cyclical, right? That's been the case for all years prior to 2020 because of the what was going on. But otherwise, it's always, as soon as it gets nice out, people want to run around and shop and clean their garage and their house, and they're ready to list it. So this isn't a surprise to me that the inventory numbers bumped up for people listing their resales, but they're still gone just as quickly. There's still demand. They're still much higher over list price.
I think this is a different market that we're in as far as resales too, because they're not, like you said, they're not lasting long. The reason they're not lasting long is because what Jeremy alluded to is that new construction, new builds. I mean, we're really super short. Okay, some inside stuff here. You guys know about this. We're super short materials, like lumber has gone up ridiculous. Trades in New Braunfels. Most of those trade people, the framers who've got to touch the new build 2 or 3 times before it's finished, they're priced out in New Braunfels. They can't afford to live here, and so they live in South San Antonio, perhaps, and other places. But it's like, do I go all the way there? Do I stay here and get to work? And now some builders here are starting to compete amongst themselves by drawing in, since there's a shortage of trades, other contractors from other builders, trying to kind of lure them into their company. So the competition is so stiff here to get homes built that's what we're seeing here. So we have a shortage like this. Then you can only build, it's like Jeremy said, you can only build so fast. I mean, they can't build fast enough because of all these shortages. So when you do that, you create this, every builder can only write 2 or 3 contracts a week, so 12 a month. Everybody else goes on a waiting list. And guess what, guys? Those people on a waiting list are not under contract. And they won't be under contract until September. And guess what, guys? What do you think is going to happen between now and September? The prices are going to go the price is going to continue to go up. They're on a waiting list. That's great. They're just not under contract.
Right.
That actually answers Mark's question he just asked.
So exactly. So basically what's happening is if you go under contract, they're pricing in this, but the other thing that they're doing is they're waiting. So what a lot of builders are doing right now are doing just spec homes, right? So they're picking out everything in the house and they're waiting until they're past sheetrock phase, because now they already understand what their true costs are for that home. I mean, and when I say that, normally the prices aren't increasing in lumber or going down in lumber like this crazy. So they're not pricing homes until they're at that end stage. You know, I walked into a neighborhood, Sky Ridge last week. They don't even know what the prices are going to be, and they're already selling lots. You have to pay a $15,000 deposit, and you don't even know what the prices are going to be. And it's 12 homes for one septic, which is stupid. I wouldn't do that.
So they're going at the sheetrock. They're going at foundation here because people know that, like, there's one builder in town here that will not allow you to go under contract until they get the permit back from the city. So that's 45.
So Rod, do you have lake homes in New Braunfels or waterfront homes?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're seeing waterfront homes in Lake Travis going up $2 million for the lots only. Lake Austin, even more. A few realtors are saying 35 to 40% annual increase. True. Yes. I had a client that was looking literally in the beginning of last year that we were looking for a lakefront property with a boat lift for $2 million. We found a couple spots, wasn't the greatest. He was gonna have to put another $1 million into it. We ended up finally putting a home under contract for almost $5 million. And that was from that last year to now. So that's crazy. That's crazy talk. And, you know, hey, it's not bad if you're that seller, you know, if you make 50%, so, or 50% increase in just like a 14-month time frame. Ian, you were laughing. Which one do you want to go to?
There were a lot. Gosh,
there was one up here that
Warp Data said.
Yes,
that's so funny.
That's what I was looking at.
I really like this. I like that he called it out because there are a couple things I want to touch on. One, I am absolutely not a hypocrite saying that I want to live here and other people can't. No. I get it. I get that people want to change their life, uproot, come here and enjoy what Austin is. So I always welcome people. I love that. I mean, in fact, one of my favorite things to do is when people are coming here and they've never been here, I love to take them around like, oh, we got to go do this and we got to go do that. I enjoy that because I truly believe that this is a great place. It is a great place to come live, enjoy your life, build a family, all that. So yes, I'm not an Austin native. I've only been here 6.5 years, but I feel like I belong and I like that. So let's see. The disruptive element is also a trend of the changing times of the United States and the world's population. It's not just, you know, a couple people moving here. It's also generational gap, generational mentalities, you know, shifts in the different types of industries. I mean, we're on such a cusp of revolution and industrial change that it's just incredible. Just think about the tech, think about all of the automation, think about 3D printed homes. There are so many people that are going to have to relocate. Colleges are probably more responsible than someone like me. There's just jobs are more responsible. Samsung has been here forever. Apple's been here forever. But gosh, now they're exploding and they're the ones that are bringing people. And I think I love it, but I'm a little afraid at how rapidly it's happening.
Yeah. And I thought this was kind of comical to think that I'm here part of the problem. Yeah. If you think I moved here to be part of the problem, I think you're a little misled about who I am as a person. And I think that's where we were going back to saying that you are assuming that people are coming here to change things. And from data that we've pulled, whether it's accurate or not, that's not 100% the case. And to say that we are messing up Texas or the natural, I mean, we're the disruptive element. I wouldn't be doing a show about, or a channel where I've talked about all the things, the reasons not to move to Texas, all the things you are going to come across when you move to Texas, and being honest with people. If anything, I've been called the anti-tourism board of Austin in the past because I've said like, hey, here's all the problems in Austin. I talk about the problems in Austin and I talk about the problems in Texas because I want people to move here with an open mind and understand what they're getting themselves into. Because if you're going to move here, like the jackass that did that whole like article and wrote that, oh, I moved to Austin and I regretted it. And it was so awful. And it was so much more expensive than I thought without doing his homework. Like that guy's a disruptive element. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand what they're talking about. I do. I get that there are people who move here that want to change things. They don't want to, but look, things are going to change. Whether you like it or not, things change. And how we, and part of this channel and part of why we do this is so we help people grow and help Texas grow the right way.
I just saw Don say Austin needs a casino. That'll fix it.
Yeah.
I was just at the casino last weekend. I had to drive all the way to Louisiana.
What about that? This comment, I mean, obviously Warp Data did not say we're the problem, but what do you think about that? Disruptive, right? So what are you thinking about that that comment, Rod?
I think if that person were to get online right now, they wouldn't say the same thing. I just think it's a interface thing. People are brave on a keyboard, and I'm not going to give it much oxygen. I just think that's what it is. I don't think anything of it. I just think if you were to sit across and have lunch with this guy, he wouldn't have the same take.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it any oxygen. I'm sorry.
What did this whole 415 thing come in the comments? I'm a little late. 415 in the house.
Maybe you can't say the other one on YouTube. That's my assumption. Oh, area code in the Bay. Okay.
I thought it was 915. 925 is a bait.
It looks like a 9 if you have bad illegible writing. Maybe.
Oh, got it. Awesome. Ian, what are your thoughts, man? I think I'm done with what I had for the whole Texas thing, but what do you got, man?
I think there was something Kevin said earlier about like, what is it actually? And I think everybody kind of touched on what it meant to say, don't California my Texas. But I think really what we all have to do is decide what it is that matters most to us. Why did we make that move? And how do we treat the other people that want to do the same? And then the question is, I mean, there are a lot of people that are going to move here and not agree with you. But then how do you overcome that conversation? And it's not even overcome. How do you handle that conversation? It's, that's the changing environment. That's the world. People shift, thoughts change, and you have to be able to adapt. I mean, anybody who's just now hopping on Facebook understands, right?
Yeah.
The world is changing, period.
A text or a post is one step away from not communicating at all. So how do people, we know how people interact with social media. It's obnoxious, right? It can be. But yet when you see that same person at the store, are you saying that same thing? Probably
never.
Slim and none, and Slim just left the building. So it's like that. It's interface, man. It's like we're talking about how we speak and how we interact with other people. And people say, well, we're growing too fast. I don't want these people to move here. It's because they don't understand. We did a video on this. Jeremy, you've done a video too. What actual people are saying about this city, fill in the blank. So here's what they're saying. And by the time you get finished with the video, guess what? They're just like other people here. They're the same people, but they just didn't know, like the unknown. So the more you're able to kind of bring that stuff to the table, through our experiences, I think it reassures who's native these days, right? The locals, right, about who's moving in.
So Warp Data came back and said, you love a progressive city, but you're saying you want a conservative government. I never said that I love a progressive city. I I understand what Austin is, and I understand where Austin needs to change. I don't agree with with a lot of the things we've done locally. But I'm not, I'm not the one that can make the change. Obviously, I can talk about the issues that bother me. I've made videos about the tax increase for Prop A and Prop B, the trains. I agree that we need infrastructure. I don't agree with that package. I don't agree with how it was put in front of people. I don't agree that it says that it's affordable and it's not affordable. I don't like that it lied. So to say that I'm about a progressive city, I think cities have to change. They cannot stay the same. So it's not about being progressive or conservative government. It's a fact that we need to change, but we need to change in a way that benefits a lot of people, not just a specific group of people.
I think the one problem I have with this is that when people put other people in compartments, like left, right, progressive, conservative, just because you have a thought, should you be put into a box? What if you have a way different thought about something else? So these are all man-made terms, and they're media-made and they're man-made. It's like, okay, if you think this, you must be that. Oh, wait a second, hold on. I like show tunes and Guns N' Roses. So what am I? Yeah, I mean, I'm not one person. I'm not.
You're
like,
a tap dancing rock and roller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, do you see what I'm saying though? It's like people, well, you said this, you must be. No. Let's sit down and have a cup of coffee. Let's have lunch. Come on.
And that's what I said about Austin and Texas, more of Texas, but Austin in general, is that the people here that I've come across are generally so freaking amazing that you want to go have lunch with people. You want to get that face-to-face interaction. Obviously, we've spent the last year not doing face-to-face interaction. And I think that's also what's heightened this like animosity with things, right? But if you take 2020 out of the mix, like I love that people are so friendly. And I love that. And I love the fact that you can have a conversation. You could have before 2020 had a conversation with people and they'd actually have a legitimate, nice conversation. And then it's changed. But a lot of that has to do with the last 4 years. It has to do with, 2020. It has to do with a lot of different things. But to say that, we can't grow and we can't grow the right way and be fiscally conservative about how we grow. That's all I want. I want to be fiscally conservative about how we grow. That's it.
I had a friend once say that communication solves all the world's problems.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting when you had touched on like Prop A and Prop B. It isn't that we don't need infrastructure. It's that they slid in other things and didn't explain to people what was actually happening.
No. They didn't. No, it's not that they didn't explain. They lied. They purposely lied. Because here's the thing is you are imposing a tax on half of the people that live here, while the other half are voting for it, have no problem with it. But here's the problem. The other half of people, so people that are not homeowners, that are going to be potential homeowners, guess what? You voted for something you are not paying for. But if you are in the process of purchasing a home, that will immediately impact you. So you voted for something that was supposed to be affordable and was sold that, hey, you're not going to have to pay for it. They're only going to pay $300 a year for it, which was an absolute lie. Because what happened? It goes off the average of your home. It goes off the base tax of your home. So it's this amount, but it is not, because prices are going up. Yeah. Values of homes are going up. So that $300 is a lie because it is a progressive tax. It does not stop at, okay, everybody's going to charge $300 a year for this from now until then. No, it was never that. It's a progressive tax. And so we're going to keep making more money and more money. We're going to tell you that 45% of it or 40% of it's going to come from the federal government. Where's the announcement? I want to see where that it's actually coming from the government, because it's not. There's nothing in writing system. It's them hoping. And so this is what pisses me off about that. And people got so upset with me on that video, and people want to call me out. Oh, you want this, and you don't believe in affordability. You are charging a tax that is going to make homes less affordable for people. So those people that you want to get into homes, instead you're subsidizing people's rents. That does not do anything to help affordability. You're taking $300 million of taxpayer dollars to subsidize rents. That does not help and you're making it more expensive for people. So that's my whole thing. And that's why I'm so pissed about Prop A and Prop B, because people tell me blue in the face. So they're blue in the face how great Prop A, Prop B is. And then I break down the numbers for them like, oh, well, you just don't want rail.
It's not that.
What?
It's never that. It's never that you don't want more transportation. That is one sore subject here. We need the transportation.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Ian. Did you have? I'm going to get to this. Camille, I'm sorry. I know you've asked several times. I will talk about 4 or 5. Don't worry. It's coming. All right.
That's so funny.
Go ahead, Ian.
I mean, I think you're spot on. It's just that goes back to communication and transparency. And like you said, if they say one thing and they're doing a completely different thing, that is always going to be a problem. And that's, without pointing fingers at leadership, that no matter where you are, no matter what city, state, government, that's going to be a factor. So I just think I really like some kind of transparency and leadership and understanding what it is everyone's voting for. A lot of people don't know what they're voting. They're just clicking buttons.
And
a lot of people are doing that.
And Rod, you're seeing
one-sided. Yeah.
And it's just not us seeing the problem. Rod is just talking about how prices are going up and how taxes are going to go up on homeowners and how it's becoming not affordable in New Braunfels for people because taxes are going up. I mean, he's talked about that.
New Braunfels is about, I'd say 25% is going to be 65 and old. Those folks are on a fixed income. I had a couple people reach out to me and say, hey, my husband's retiring and we're priced out. We can't afford to live here anymore. And it's so bittersweet. It really is. I mean, honestly, I tell families that sometimes, like, this is bittersweet. You're here, which is great. And, but here's what's happening to the market. And assessments are coming out. Well, they started coming out last week and next week as well. So, we're going to see, and I don't know how much longer we can say, well, we're an affordable place to live. We are, relatively speaking, if you live in California, if you live in Oregon, if you live in Washington State. But if you live in New Braunfels, we're not. If you live in Seguin, we're not. If you live in Buda or Kyle, no, we're not.
Buda. It's like 6 U's.
Buda.
Buda. It's not Buda. So MRG said, just lost out on a house. We're offering 29% over list price and 4 months free lease back to a cash offer that was lower than us. That one hurt bad. Yeah. I mean, I've actually had a client recently win on a cash offer that was not a full price. And recently we've actually had really good luck. Ian was just saying, we've had really good luck with DR Horton, getting clients under contract with DR Horton. As far as like production builders go, and we've complained about different production builders, I would take anyone to DR Horton over Lennar any day of the week. And I'm sorry, Lennar, you're probably watching this because you people talk about me, but I think Lennar's done so many shady things recently. And look, everybody's got to protect their bottom line. I get it, but yep, Lennar's not going to be happy with me on that one. Sorry.
They caught me bending over one time too, so
yeah.
Really so what is how close Buda and Austin tax? About the same, 3%, over 3%?
No.
Buda is going to be more closer to 3% for the most part. The base tax is like 2.54. Austin, you can get as low as like 1.78 in places. And, like where I live is like 2.14. I have a rental property. It's 1.8. If you live in Lake Travis, it's 1.78 or Westlake, it's like 1.78.
1.78. Yeah.
So where do you see the threes coming in? Is that more central city?
No, you're seeing it more in these rural areas. And so that's why it's tough, because if you do the math, if you're paying 3% to be in Buda, 3% to be in Kyle, 3% to be in Manor, Del Valle, all those other subsidiary cities around, if you're paying 3% for a $300,000 home with taxes and everything, you might as well buy a $400,000 home in Austin. The problem is you're still paying $120,000 over list price.
Right. So is it the mud districts that's pushing that up, or what is it?
Mainly, yes, the muds and PIDs.
So, but once those infrastructures, once that infrastructure gets paid down, those tax rates will come down too.
Here's this interesting thing about that. I've seen the tax rate come down, but the taxes are still the same. I haven't seen it. Now,
the appreciation of the property is going to go up, so you're never actually paying less in taxes annually.
And I think that's, as far as people want to talk about imposing a 1 or 2% income tax to offset taxes, I think we should just make our cities. I talked with the mayor of Kyle, and I asked him that question, and I think he got kind of offended with me. I asked him, I said, well, if you think about all the dollars that are coming in, what are you doing to offset that? Well, the schools, they can't change their tax rate. So all that money goes to the schools. So it's 50% of it goes to the schools and the rest comes to us. And some neighborhoods don't actually pay our taxes. So we don't fix their roads as fast. And just all these things, he was not as happy. Yeah. Now he's going to come on and refute that he said that, but he said it. And then they were just saying things I was like, well, what do you do? He's like, well, we still need to build parks. You're going to build $120 million in parks. I get it. We need parks, but $120 million in parks. What are we going to do for those homeowners? And there was, cause he emailed me to talk about affordability. But when I asked about affordability, there was no we're going to help bring the tax rate down. We're going to do anything. We're going to put that money back into this or that. It kind of skirted around it. Now, maybe we need to have a full conversation on camera and he'll actually maybe have a different tune and talk more about the affordability. But from our discussion, I don't feel that there was a prioritization of making things affordable. And, from his opinion or his point is that, if you're seeing all the costs go up for lumber and everything, costs in general, labor costs go up. So just because we're making more money, we're having to spend more money, which I get, but I'm not in Kyle, so I don't know the budgets, but I feel like there's got to be a point where we're increasing taxes so much. We have to do something to either bring that base rate tax down and do something that way, because the taxes are just getting out of hand, in my opinion.
Well, I heard it. I read an article from Chase the other day. I think it was Thursday. That came out, just popped in my inbox. It was 6 a.m, and they said this boom could last all the way till 2023. So I'm thinking, at what point, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's the thing too. I'm going to do a video on this, but so I don't want to give out too much on this, but a lot of people are telling me, oh, this market's too hot. I'm going to either not move to Austin. They're looking at San Antonio, New Braunfels, other places. Or I'm going to wait till it cools off. But and then I'm hearing from everybody, oh, this is the bubble. The bubble's about to pop. I remember this in 2008. This is not the same climate as 2008.
Yeah. Can I say something about 2008? Sure. All right. So everybody who out there right now is in every video that's being made, hey, we're going to crash and this, that, and the other, and the fire and everything. And, we're guilty of that stuff too. But look, everything was stated income. If you had a heartbeat, right? If you exhibited a heartbeat in the early 2000s, you got a loan. Okay. Couldn't afford the home, but you can breathe. That's cool. We'll take you. All right. So what happened? People sucked all the equity out of their home, and they bought things, just dumb things that didn't add value back to the market, like jet skis, vacations, and so forth. So $800 billion of equity drawn for those homes. That's what caused the mess. And so the banks who kind of created it in the first place with those looser lending laws said, look, we ain't doing this anymore. So they tightened their screws. And now people who can afford homes are allowed to purchase the homes. And the requirements have gone up. And so I think the number is over 70% of American homeowners have over 50% equity in their homes. So no, this is not 2008. It's not even close. So that's why I'm concerned about, hey, when Chase comes out and says 2023, and you hear about all these, the forbearance thing, and it's like, wait a second, hold on. Before we talk about foreclosure and forbearance, know that the vast majority of people in this country, homeowners, have at least 50% equity in their homes. So where are you coming from? You know what I'm saying? I mean, what? I don't get it. It's like, these are the numbers.
Yeah. I mean, I just, the mindset that it's going to slow down. I just feel like you're going to pay for a $300,000 home. What you can get now, or a $400,000 home, is going to be different next year. What you can buy $1 million, $2 million home is going to be different next year. I do like this. Would you prefer a half property tax, half income tax? You want it all. Yes, Master Jedi. I want it all. I want what I was promised in Texas.
What was that song? Who sang that? I want it all.
Yeah. I don't know. Granny, I don't know who the troll is. I'm sorry. I'd have to. The comments come so fast. Ian, you're over there smirking, laughing. Bring it in, man.
So I was doing the math just to be careful on this. So if your median income is between, so I'm using California as an example, between $46,000 and $58,000, then your taxes are $1,700, $1,700 to $1,800 annually. That's just income tax. Now that is about 0.5% on a $300,000 home here. And so really that is almost an exact offset at that price point, at that income. So it's no different. That's why I was smirking. I was like, this is the same. It's really the same.
It sounds so much better to say we have no state income tax.
It does, and it increases. I mean, based on your tax brackets, based on loopholes, based on your income. There's so many variabilities in there, whether you own a business or not. All of that is relative to 1099. But I would say the majority of people that are moving here, I don't know what the income brackets are right now in Austin proper versus in some of the suburbs. But I know the tax rates in a lot of the suburbs are anywhere from 2.2% to 3.1% is mostly what it's at. And I don't think most people understand that when they're coming here, right? So I'm just gonna say it for the record. If they've watched your channel or my channel, Jeremy, I know they've had this information, but find out what the tax rate of the neighborhood is when you're looking at a house. If the neighborhood tax rate with the MUD or the PID is 3.0, you multiply that by the appraised value of the home. So if you paid $300,000 for the house, but the state thinks it's worth $400,000, you're paying the taxes. You're paying $400,000 times 3%. That is what you're going to pay annually. Period. A lot of people need to know that, and not just because you got it at a lower price. If the entire value of the neighborhood goes up, you're going to get hit. And that's everywhere across the United States. That's not just Texas that has property taxes.
Yeah. Yeah, values go up, taxes go up. I mean, that's and look, you sell your home for $110,000 over asking, don't expect a bargain on the next one you buy.
That's it. And it
depends on where you're going though.
Someone paying that much over in your neighborhood inflates your property tax value in that neighborhood.
Well, I mean, but think about it. That's why people from California are coming here too. Like if you can sell your house for $1 million and come over here and pay $650, like that's a huge savings. Your property taxes are going to go up, right? You're probably going to spend more. I mean, you have to do the math, but the property taxes might be a little bit more. The one thing is that every single year, your property taxes will go up. So you got to make sure that your income goes up every single year. That's the major difference. I think that's where people don't plan. And this is part. I mean, people ask me why I harp on taxes so much. The reason why I harp on property taxes so much is because I've had clients that I've sold houses to, and I said, look, your property taxes that you're budgeting right now will not be this. They will be more. Here's why, and broken it out. A year later, I get a call. Jeremy, I can't afford these taxes. They're going up. I'm having to do this and this and this and this. I'm trying to help them protest their taxes, and they didn't plan for it. After I specifically told them, this is what you need to do to plan for this. And then I've had to turn around and sell their house. I'm not a fan of trying to have to sell someone's house because they got in trouble and didn't prepare. That's not how I want to ever sell a home and make money. And everybody thinks realtors are all this unethical, whatever. But that is why I drill into tax rates so much, because people are moving here. They think it's cheap, whatever. New Braunfels is so much cheaper. I can buy a house for $330. The tax rate's lower than in Austin. It's great. Boom. There you go. And then they're like, well, wait a second. Why is the taxes going up?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm moving to Austin. It's cheaper.
For the house.
Right. And I think that's my biggest problem. Look, you know, it's not perfect, right? We talked about this. Texas isn't perfect. California is not perfect. Obviously, people are moving here, but you know, at a certain point, we do need to have some sort of legislation that prohibits. Yes, I know that everybody's like, oh, but you get a homestead exemption.
That's a big one. A lot of people don't understand how the exemptions work.
Yeah. I mean, explain how that exemption works. Everybody thinks a homestead exemption saves everything, right? Oh, there's an over 65 exemption. That doesn't stop their property taxes from going up every year.
Disabled vet does, though.
Yes, but think about that. Disabled vet, when you go to sell that house and the taxes have not been capped at all.
Yes.
That is a problem.
Yes. So for people that just, people that are primary purchasers, you're buying your primary residence, then a homestead exemption. Let's say you're buying a new build and your house is, you know, you're paying $300,000 for the house. You know, it's going to go up to $500,000 in the next 4 or 5 years. First thing you do is as soon as you're able, you put in a homestead exemption, and it caps your increase in your annual tax rate. And it gives you a slight discount as well. So that's fantastic. Where it hurts people is when they're investors and they have multiple types of let's say they have 10 different properties in the area, because you can only put your homestead exemption on your primary residence. And that ends up being a problem, because now when you have 10 other property, you know, the investor might have 9 other properties that they're renting out. Well, that's eventually going to catch up, because they have to supplement that mortgage, that costs, and increase their market value. And so they're going to up the rent. There's a delay. There's a lag. And someone had asked earlier, well, why are the rents not higher now? And it's because it hasn't caught up. It will catch up.
Bro, they have caught up.
Yeah, some places have, but it will be.
We just put our place. We just put our South Austin place on the market to rent, and I was inundated. Mm-hmm. The very first, like within an hour, I was not expecting it. I was inundated with like, hey, we're sending over an app, blah blah blah. Like we had to actually raise the price even more, and I'd already raised it from last year. So I think these are going to start catching up. I mean, I have an investor that's like, hey, I want to get this for the house. I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. He's like, it will.
Yep.
And literally got exactly what he said it would, even though it was like way high. Somebody came in and just said, look, there's nothing on the market. The rental market's tough. I'll get it. And it's insane to me what they rented it for. But I mean, yes, they are catching up. The statistics are going to lag, right? The statistics aren't going to be here tomorrow for what the rental rates are. They're 6 months from now. We'll start seeing what the actual rental rates are. Yeah, because leases are 6 months to a year to 2 years. And so people, you know, you got to see that's how the process works. And yeah, they're going to hit. They're going to hit hard.
So Jeremy says about leases is exactly what's happening. And it's mirroring the resale market as far as purchases. It's like, you got 8 or 12 offers every house that's priced right. And, you know, people know that there are no homes out there. So they're willing to pay $50, $60, $70, $80,000 over asking in places like Marion, not New Braunfels too, but outskirt areas now. I mean, I'm like shaking my head. I'm like, $500,000 for that 2,500 square foot house? Yeah. I'm shaking my head, but it's happening. Just outside New Braunfels, in a town a fraction of the population of New Braunfels. But that's where the crisis in inventory is right now. There's nothing out there. So people have to get somewhere. So this is what they're willing to pay. And this is what sellers are willing to accept.
Right. There's a lot of great comments in here.
Yeah,
I'm impressed with the comments in here. I did enjoy this one. Fifth generation Texan, been buying property in Austin since 1999, sitting on Bitcoin and cash, waiting for the crash. There's
Coinbase
no way
IPO in 2 days.
What was that?
Coinbase IPO in 2 days. I'm stoked.
There is no way this market does not end badly. Okay. I mean, I don't disagree. Here's the thing. I don't disagree that the market's going to change, but it's the timing of when it changes. What I ask people, okay, tell me when. Yeah. If you know the market's going to course correct or we're going to see a crash, tell me when. I want to know the information you know. Mm-hmm. And the information I'm looking at right now, why do you think home ownership is so popular right now? Answer the question. Why is home ownership so popular right now? Can you answer it? It's a simple one. Because you can work from home. The value right now, yes, the value in a lot of these companies are not making people come back. So the fact that you can work from home pretty much anywhere means you can live wherever you want for most people, not all, but for most people. So it takes the desire and the need for these big commercial offices out, and the desire for homes more important, because you're going to want that space to sit and have your office. Every single person that reaches out to me, I need an office. Yes. I need an office. Every single person. There's not one person that says, well, I don't need space for an office. We office from home. Everyone, 100% of people that reaches out to me needs an office. So that is why we are seeing this. So you have to explain to me when homeownership becomes less desirable and when that market crashes. That is where I just can't, like, is it 2023? Is it 2024? Is it 2022? The problem I see for Texas, and I've stated this over and over and over again, our property taxes are going to get to a point that forces an unaffordability issue. I think we're already there, but 2 more years of this and these prices, I really think people start to question. I have friends right now that are like, you know what? I don't really need to be in Austin right now because I can work from wherever. I'm moving to Dallas. Like right now, one of my best friends, I was so mad. I was like, dude, I can't follow you this time. I followed him into this neighborhood. I can't follow you to Dallas unless I can sell my house for 1.5 million on the market right now. 1.5 million. Just kidding. Yeah. So anyway, thoughts.
Yeah, the government is always a big catalyst in the housing market and really everything. So it's what people ask, what do you think the market's going to be like? I mean, I can tell you what it's going to be like the rest of the year. Beyond next year, I can tell you in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, your house is going to be more than what it is now. But so much of what these people ask, it's like, okay, well, let's say the feds decide to up the rates in which they charge banks, right, for money. So the rates go up. So then buyers can't afford as much home anymore. And so suddenly the inventory grows and then it kind of sells itself, right? So a lot of, or people going back to work or creating more jobs, so much of what the government does or does not do impacts the housing market.
Right. Speaking of the housing market, Camille has asked several times about 78745. I think 78745 is one of those neighborhoods that's seeing a growth or a spillover from 78704. So a lot of these developers that are buying in 78704 are now moving to 78745 because they can purchase land, right? They can purchase a lot. In a lot of this in the North 78745, they're flipping properties like crazy. So the values of homes are going up like crazy. They can do A/B units on some of these lots that are big enough. So I think 4.5 is still only 15 minutes from downtown, maybe less than that. So yeah, I think 4.5, if you can find a great home in there, somebody was talking about, different areas, or ghetto or something like that. That's what the comment said. I'm not saying that, but I think there's a lot of great spots in 4.5. I've had clients that have really looked hard at 4.5, ended up in 4.9. And that was just because there was nothing on the market that week. And we found something in 4.9. But I think 4.5 is one of those great neighborhoods that you're going to see huge value just from the spillover from 78704.
What is 4.5? Is it like a historical district? Is it a mix of character homes, or what exactly is it?
No, I'll show you. Hold on. Oh my gosh. We're going to go to the map. So I go into the
really
map.
Like what you said. I really like what you said about buying the larger lots and, converting them. I think that's been a big thing all over all these zip codes in Austin. And it's a great way for investors to make a good profit.
Okay. So if we're looking at the map, this is South Austin. This is 78704. This is one of the hottest zip codes in Austin for a very long time. This is 78745, this little square right here. So you're seeing, I mean, the fact that properties are in the 825 price point is mind-boggling. Thank you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mind-boggling. What was that movie from? Will Ferrell. There you go. Mind-boggling. Yeah, 825 for a property. This is nuts to me. 845. Yeah. So yeah, if you can find a property in 445 this area, and look, you're really close to Sunset Valley. You're really close to South Lamar. So and South Lamar, they're putting in $1 billion. Well, it's proposed $1 billion like domain thing here. So yeah, this area is popping. My favorite zip code or my favorite place where I would buy more and more and more of is this South Menchaca area. Sorry, I know everybody's gonna hit me for not saying Manchac. I can't say that. But this South Menchaca area, they finally named it right. This area, I think, is one of the most underrated zip codes in Austin right here, especially this south section, because it's actually a 1.8 tax rate. Shout out to Jeremy, who owns a rental property here. So anyway, breakdown on that.
Yeah, the tax rate is good. There's plenty of space to build. It's good.
Yeah. So there you go, Camille. I know you've been waiting for that. 4.8 is just as great. 4.8 is just as great. There you go. I like that. I rhymed.
I see these back and forths about whether or not people will be working remote. How do you feel about that? Despite them purchasing homes with offices.
Well, think about it too. Like a lot of people that are moving to Austin. So let's say the trend continues where more people are able to work from home, and now they can start working from, I don't know, Nashville. They don't have to come to the office. Maybe they have to come once a month to the office. Mm-hmm. They can work from Nashville. They can work from Dallas. Let's say the headquarters in Austin, but they say, okay, yeah, you can office in Dallas. You can office in Houston. Why you do that, I don't know. But you can office in San Antonio. Well, if you can office in San Antonio or Dallas, and you only have to be in the office once a month, that's a cool gig, right? So, yeah. But does this trend continue? I think so. I think we are scarred for a very long. I think 2020, I'm not going to say the word, has changed the landscape of how people think when it comes to viruses, when it comes to a lot of this stuff.
Hey, we're going back to the 50s.
Somebody was asking what it was.
Oh, okay. So I don't see it. I don't see an office being the thing it was in the past.
No, I completely agree with you. Why should it be? I mean, if I hear one more person say just because, hey, we're all going to be back in the office in September. Why? You want to share a piece of pizza? You want to talk by the water cooler? What's the purpose when people are working productively from home? I mean, yeah, if you're having surgery on somebody, you have to go into work, right?
And they're saying productivity's up with people working from home.
Right. So, like, what's the argument to go? Please tell me in a majority of these jobs, I mean, if you're making cars, that's different, okay? And if you're having, if you're a doctor, that's different too. But there are a lot of jobs that don't require you to be at an office. So what's the argument to go there? So you're in cubicles and you can feel good about yourself. I mean, come on now. If anything, that was an unintended consequence, in my opinion, a great one. So what we went through last year, we found out a few thousand things, but number one, hey, we can work remotely, and if what that means is that, look, man, if you don't treat me right, like Mr. State, Mr. or Mrs. State, I'm going to leave because I still have my job.
And I think that is fueled, and how long this fuel is in this candle, I don't know, but I think that's fueled the catalyst for why companies are moving to Austin, why they're moving to your area, and why, hey, look, if I don't have to be in Austin, but maybe once a week, I might go live in New Braunfels, 45-minute drive to Google, right? If I'm going to work for Google, 45-minute drive. My neighbor in this neighborhood works for Google. I don't ever see him leave to go to the office. The only time I see him is at pick up and drop off for our kids. Like that's the only time, like and walking around the neighborhood. So I just don't see people. What's a candle? It's like SpaceX, but different. Sorry, that's a 2-week-old joke. So I just don't see people going back. And I think People now are going to okay, think about this too. So you're at, I don't know, Dollar Shave Club, right? And Dollar Shave Club allows you to go work remote. And you're sitting there and you go, you know what? I've been at Dollar Shave Club for a long time. I've got all the necessary tools to do whatever I want. And then you go find another company and let you work from home for good. Why would you? So if companies are going to start allowing more people to work remote, why would people go stay at their same company? They just switch companies.
What's the alternative? Traffic?
Yeah.
An hour and a half. I mean, 3 hours of your life, 5 days. Come on now.
What's a SpaceX? Sorry.
Stop it. Messing with me. Does anybody remember Microsoft HoloLens or version 2 of that? Like, I'm about to get super techie here. Now, okay. Imagine this. Imagine being able, like, let's say a manufacturing plant like Tesla that's already half run by robots, autonomous arms. Now imagine if you can put your head in a visor, stick your hands in something, and do a lot of the work that way. That's where we're moving to, and it is not that far off. It really isn't. Just even user interfaces that are all based on visual depth, right? Like to be able to pull up a sticky note, like in VR. I've got a VR headset sitting right back there. I'm on my 9th one. You can just take a sticky note, stick it on the wall, boom, whatever you need. Do a spreadsheet. You can do all that stuff already. I think just a lot of people haven't been willing to shift because they either don't know or don't care. But that's where a lot of these companies are trying to move. It's kind of crazy what we're capable of doing when we're forced.
I mean, wouldn't you save if you're a company and infrastructure and overhead? I mean, if you can have Zooms and maybe, go out to lunch and have a party every once in a while, wouldn't you save a few bucks on overhead?
I hope Master Jedi's boss is watching. I spend 8 hours working from home. I get nothing done. You put it on social media, not me, buddy.
Yeah, I'm watching Star Wars all the time. That's why I meant Mandalorian.
Sorry, I cut you off. Some of these comments are
realistically, a lot of people need to, once they get to work, they have to unwind or get their coffee. And like once they go into the office, maybe chit chat with a few people I think is in there. There's a lot going, and then you got to take your lunch break. You got to get to the location. Sometimes you're like, it's a little bit longer. Working from home, even with that lag time, you're still overall more productive as long as you're somewhat disciplined. It's hard though, because you get lonely and you need that. It goes back and forth. I can see that.
But again, if you can work from home versus driving into the office and you can do live streams sitting in shorts and a nice shirt, gym shorts and a nice shirt, you're going to do it. And I mean, here's the reality. I get more done now because I get home from dropping off my son at 8 a.m. I am answering emails and back to work by 8 a.m. And I work pretty much till 8 p.m. every day, or actually longer than that. I mean, you and I work writing offers till midnight sometimes. So, So I just don't see the desire for people wanting to go back to an office when they can work from home. Now, everybody's different, right? It's the same thing in real estate too. I keep getting this question. Oh, your brokerage is all done online, but brick and mortar is still a thing, and brick and mortar is so great. So I just need an office. I need to go in an office to get anything done. Look, there's people that are self-starters. There are people not self-starters that have to be in an office. I cannot be in a brick and mortar business. I got too much going on to have to drive to work, to go set my shit down, to then go drive to somewhere else. I would rather just take my shit with me and drive to where I need to go.
And talk about the cost of travel, right? The cost of insurance, because you have to have 2 cars for both partners going back and forth. There are a lot of ancillary costs. You always have to get lunch if you're out. And there's a lot more to it than just, can we work from home, that people miss.
And it's all a deduction too. Right? It's all write-off. Working from home is a write-off. You can write off your room space, electricity, all that stuff.
I like this. I like what Alyssa just said.
Yes. VJ, but less time in traffic means you can participate in other community-related activities, church, fitness, kid sports, etc. But I do agree, might not be for everyone. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be.
I'd rather bring my laptop to the domain and sit there and watch people run around, maybe grab some coffee or something, and then sit in the office or sit at home. Either in both cases, but I have the freedom to you get the freedom to do that.
Every time I drive by the domain, I'm like, oh shit. Hey, what's up, Ian? What are you doing? Oh, I'm over at blah blah blah. All right, I'll swing by and say hi. Like every time I drive by the domain, I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm at the domain. Just so random. I'm right here. Okay, let's have a coffee. That's pretty funny. That's funny. Well, cool. We've had a pretty good, healthy conversation here. It got heated there for a minute. My face became super punchable, apparently, but pinchable and punchable. So I think we're going to end it there. We're about almost right at 2 hours. So I appreciate everybody that joined. Thank you for all playing nice, except for a couple people. But that's how it works in every conversation. So Ian, what's your final words for everyone?
My final words are understand your property taxes when you move here because they're going to hurt a little bit, but you're still welcome.
Yep. Right. Final words.
Final words, just be nice.
Yeah. I like that. Mine, no pressure, no problem. Let's go.